Well, the Hawks are taking action against their own. 2 senior officers and a former officer have been arrested on allegations of fraud and corruption. They're accused of misusing their power and authority while serving on selection panels in the directorate. The investigation was sparked by irregularities picked up at a Northwest office. The 3 are expected to appear in the Pretoria Specialized Crimes Court soon. Well, the National Lotteries Commission is being investigated. The SIU is probing claims of maladministration and improper conduct by its officials. Among those implicated is recently resigned Hawks spokesperson Hangwani Malautsi. The Hawks say it will look into whether its former spokesperson personally benefited from the lottery money. Well, let's chat now to Kazier Kganyago from the SIU to find out how this investigation will continue. Kazier, very good morning, and thanks so much for your time. So how do you actually begin to look into something like this that involves so much money? What will you be looking at? What will you be needing to make sure that this investigation, this probe, is done absolutely properly?
Well, thank you very much. What we'll be looking at is really, as per the proclamation number 32 of 2020 that was signed by the President, we are going to be looking at the maladministrations in the affairs of the National Lotteries Commission. We are going to look into the investment fund in the National Lottery Distribution Trust Fund. And we are also going to look at the allocation of money in the fund to beneficiaries who are not entitled thereto. And therefore, those are the things that we'll be looking at, and we'll make sure that and the other thing that will be of importance is the fact that we'll have to look at any improper or unlawful conduct by officials or employees of the National Lottery Commission or any entity that might be associated with that, so that we are able to deal with all of those issues. We have not started with the investigations as yet because the proclamation was only published on Friday, the 6th. Therefore, we are putting together a team that will then go on a fact-finding mission to go and get documentation so that we then look at the scope of the work that needs to be done, and then we get to the bottom of it as per the proclamation.
So, Kazier, we understand that you will be working with the Hawks and the NPA as well. Now, when it comes to Kazier Kganyago, I just want to know, has his resignation set off any alarm bells for you, his resignation from the Hawks?
I've not resigned as yet. If you suggest, you mean Hangwani?
Sorry, yes.
I don't think this has got anything to do with the individual. I always make this statement that we do not investigate people. We investigate processes and we find people in there. Therefore, in this particular instance, we are not looking at any individual. We are just looking at those processes, the maladministration that might be there. We are investigating the fund itself. We are looking at whether the right people were given the funds that were supposed to be given to them, or whether there's been any unlawful conduct by the officials of the NLC. Therefore, when this thing was prepared for the signature of the President, this matter was not even, the matter of Hangwani was not even in the public space at that moment. Because you must remember, the President signed this proclamation on the 20th of October, and it was only published on Friday. But the preparation for the proclamation was done a long time ago.
All right. Well, sorry for having retired you early. I do apologize for that. Yes, Hangwani Malautsi. That's who we're talking about. But you will be working with the Hawks and the NPA. Are you not concerned that there might be, and just putting out just throwing it out there, that there might be some conflicts, with former colleagues, people in the Hawks who might be friends, who might, that there might be some interference, some attempts to cover up? How will that fit into, you working with the Hawks when it comes to this particular person and his links to the story?
When a proclamation is signed, it is signed to the SIU, not to all of us. Therefore, when we investigate, it will be the SIU investigating in line with this proclamation. And only when we find criminality, we then refer the matters to the NPA and the Hawks. Therefore, there's no way that there's going to be any kind of conflict. We only engage the services of the NPA and the Hawks to work with us when we find criminality. But when it is the issue of us having to recover money from people that might have taken it unlawfully, we do it on our own. We take the matters to the special tribunal. Therefore, the issues of conflict will never surface.
How far back will you be looking, Kazier, when you are sort of delving into this? How far back will you go in this investigation?
Yeah, the proclamation that we have has made it very clear that we've got to look into all the matters as far back as in 2014. I think it was specific to say January 2014. That is when we start up until the date of this proclamation, which is when it was signed on the 6th. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean if some of the things that we find lead us beyond or either before 2014 or after today, therefore we will not follow them. But the proclamation is very specific that we have to look at those issues that happened between the 1st of January 2014 and the date of the publication of the proclamation, which we now know is the 6th of November.
So what happens to the workings or the functioning of the NLC while all of this is happening?
We do not disturb the functioning of any organization when we do our investigation. What we then do is we go out of our way and we get the documents that we want, make copies of them. If we've got to take gadgets like computers and so on, we take them for a few days, we mirror them, we remain with the information, and we do the analysis. The other documents and the computers will then be sent back for them to continue with their work.
All right, and I mean, maybe I've watched too many crime series, Kazier, but, you know, in this time, while you say you're putting your team together and while this happens, are you not worried that a lot of this might go missing or might be tampered with or might not be made available to you in this time or might just disappear?
Not necessarily. We have got serious expertise within the organization to even go as far back. When you try and remove things from the computer, we'll still get them because we have got expertise in that regard. But we are not really worried about it because this matter has been in the public domain for a very long time. And if people have wanted to do something, they would have done it by now. But at the end, we only start our investigation when the publication, the gazette of the proclamation is done, which is now, and now we are ready to start. Because putting the team together will not take a lot of effort because there are people already there. It's just that now it comes at the time where it competes with the PPEs, which has been the focus of our investigations at the present moment.
All right, so any transactions or any sort of distribution of money from the NLC now, I mean, what's the transparency there? Do you have sort of, are you going to be asking to see, and I know that you're investigating a certain period, but one would have to wonder what's happening in the meantime. Like you say, you won't disturb how the NLC functions or how it works at the moment, but surely that's going to be of concern to the rest of the country to say, but, you know, surely you need to be watching what they're doing now as well.
No, definitely. As you might see, that the proclamation says check everything up until last week Friday, which is as recent as now. Therefore, you understand that it goes up to the gazetting of the proclamation, which is the 6th of November. But obviously, we'll be careful not to interfere because at the end of the day, they need to do what they are supposed to do as the commission, and the people out there need to continue to get the funding that they need to get because some of the funding that is there it deals with the day-to-day lives of people where it funds things like the crashes and all that, and those will not stop because we're investigating.
All right. Would the actual NPOs themselves or the recipients also form part of this investigation, or would it be those on the other side, on the NLC side, those responsible for distributing the money, making sure, well, they should have been making sure it was going to legitimate places. The NPOs themselves and everybody involved in them, will they also form part of the investigation? How deep does it go?
No, it will go as deep as that because we're saying, among others, while we are looking at the employees and the conduct of the employees, we're also looking at any person or entity in relation to the allegations that are set out. Therefore, if the allegation leads us to you, we will come to you, regardless of whether you are an employee or a beneficiary of the Lottery Commission.
So Hangwani Malaudzi not quite off the hook then?
It is never about Hangwani Malaudzi, and it will never be about Hangwani Malaudzi, because if we allow ourselves a situation where we investigate people, we are going to find ourselves in a difficult position where people will ultimately then say, we are following on people or we are being used to follow on people. And that's not what we are here about. If people are found and organizations are found in the investigation, they will be found. But the investigation is never about them. We are not even targeting them at all because we don't know whether we're going to find them or not.
But his NPO will form part of the investigation. Like you say, you will be looking at all recipients, and if something is found there, I would assume, then you take it further?
Yes, we'll look at every one of them, whether they were given the monies properly. They were entitled to get the beneficiary, to be the beneficiaries. Therefore, we will look at each one of them one by one.
All right, thanks very much. The SIU's Kazier Kganyago, not retired or resigned. That is Hangwani Molautsi we were talking about. Thanks for that. We'll continue to check on the story, and hopefully, they will get to the bottom of this, because it's our money at the end of the day. Still